Hey all, so this is another video for the video challenge. This idea is sort of based off this last one. I mentioned it in passing at the very end. I apologize. This is the video to get into it. There are many guards. You don't necessarily need them all in any one fight. And just because you're changing guards doesn't mean you're being useful. Doesn't mean you're helping your case. You see people and they go, hoo, 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 hoo. They don't know what they're doing. They're changing guards because they think they need to. Here's the thing. If you feel a threat, throw a shot there. See what happens. Train that way. You're going to find more often than not, if you're feeling threatened, it's because your opponent's going to hit you from some direction. If I'm here and I'm going, hey, I feel a threat coming from here, then I could immediately go, cut. And I could cut right to that space and force my opponent to do something. But the thing is that there is a guard, and we all see it, and guys will hang out here. And they'll just hang out, and they'll just hang out here. They'll just hang out all day. Why? They're covered. They're covered, they're threatening, they're safe. That's winning. First rule of the fight, don't get hit. Rule number 2, hit the other guy. Rule number 3, don't break rule 1 to accomplish rule 2, okay? Now, I fought single sword for a long time because I tore this shoulder. And what I tended to do was I tended to fight from here, down low, so I could threaten a pop thrust, pop up into somebody, or cut up into their head, or I'd threaten from up here, from bomb top, or up here, almost hitting the roof. But oftentimes I'd fight here, and people would go, well, why? Well, okay, I'm going to fight here. And they go, that's kind of an interesting position. Well, what is it? Well, you throw these really powerful cuts. That is true. But I'm very comfortable because I'm very far away. Now, oftentimes I'd be fighting people in this with sword and shield, or two-handed weapon, or 2 weapons, or pole weapon. And what this allowed me to do was they have usually either great defense or great power, and I would have to counter that. What this allows me to do is it allows me to throw a cut, a very powerful cut, into the line. Now, if you have somebody with a spear and they're not pull cueing, they're thrusting straight in with just a little bit of a slide, they have great leverage to keep that from moving. So if I want to knock that spear offline, I have to cut to here, and then I can run the shaft and hit them. But I would stay in 1, maybe 2 guards. I wouldn't switch just to switch. I would stay in 1 guard, and I would stay there over and over. Maybe I might stay here or here and threaten a thrust, or a cut, very saber-ish, and I would just use the idea that my hand isn't covered. I'm just going to use that blade to knock away. You see this in a little bit in Narnia Scream Out, I think. Don't quote me. But the reason I bring that up about how you don't have to go into many guards, this is the video. You've seen this before if you've seen my video on mass weapons. This is a Danax replica simulator. It hits like a freight train. It has a thrust here, but here's the weapon. Here's the cutting edge. Now, when I take guard, I tend to take guard here or here. And say let's shrink down. Or way up here. And that because I can allow that to cut. I really take it way up because of the speed issue, because of the lack of defense. But I tend to take very few guards. I really don't, because this is my shield. I'm gonna have to keep from being hit. I'm gonna have to cut in, cut to their body, cut to their head. I rarely cross over. If I need to cross over, I switch hands and keep covered and stay behind the weapon. But I stay in 1 guard. I tend to stay right about here the entire fight. Boom, 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 boom. And then if I'm hanging out, I'm keeping covered with the threat. The weapon sits, instead of sitting for a thrust, it sits offline to threaten the cut. And it's a very powerful cut. It doesn't need a lot of room to work. And then if they tend to circle out this way, I just kind of keep it in. And the reason is I don't need that many guards to fight from. if you've ever taken an Eastern martial art, I have, Taekwondo, everything I learned that was really useful was learned in that first year. And the same thing comes with sword arts. You can learn everything, every guard under the sun, every trick, every little shtick. But the truth is, you're only going to use about 4 cuts. You're only going to use a 4-edge cut, and you're only going to use a cut to one side, a cut to the other side, in whatever angle and target it comes into, a back edge cut, and a thrust. And that's it. And if you go up to your pellet and you try this 100 times, you can go into whatever guard you want, which is great. But you need to keep the complexity down. All right, I know a bunch of different guards for unarmed combat. I've been in fistfights, so have many of you. Have you really needed that many stances to really guard from an innumerable amount of styles? Not really. You need a few that you know really well, and then maybe a few others to drop into in case something happens. That's your backup plan. But let's face it, like Eastern martial arts, everything we really need to learn about sword work, we learn in the beginning. This is why the century drill ties into what we do so well. 100 blows, 100 basic blows for a day for 100 days. And this is an interpretation in that, because I know it's an interpretational month, in that it is my hypothesis that if we were to look at many of the duels and at many of the single combats throughout history, what we will find is an incredibly large amount of wins via basic maneuvers done incredibly well. Not a lot of fancy guards, not a lot of stuff, very simple, maybe post a breve, maybe stuff that kept the guy safe and he knew it. He knew that guard, he knew what worked about it, he knew what didn't work about it, and he knew it in and out. He was an expert at a few things instead of being a journeyman at a whole bunch of things. So that's my video. Hope you like it.